Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. MashaAllah, Brother Ali had a very inspirational words of wisdom. The final statement was very moving. If Marwan ibn al-Hakim was not turned away from the door of the Imam, why should we be turned away from the door of the Imam? The door of the Imam is always open. May Allah bless you, Brother Ali, for this beautiful and moving statement. Again, for his safety, Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الذين يبلغون رسالات الله ويخشونه ولا يخشون أحدا إلا الله وكفى بالله حسيبا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. The historians put the human or mankind's history into 4 stages. The first stage, they call it the prehistoric or the Stone Age. At that time, human or that species that used to be called a human used to be hunting and moving from one place to another, depending on the food availability. Until that period ended and another period started that is called the agricultural period, where a human being settled in areas and dependent on the agrarian lifestyle. They grew crops and, feed, eat, sell. Therefore, they settled from a nomadic behavior, from a nomadic lifestyle to a settlement. Then by that time, which took so many years until we got to the age of industry, the Industrial Revolution. Thanks to invention of 2 things, one the steam engine and the other one is electricity, the life of people revolutionized and we started to have industrialized world. So the economy became based on industry. Recently, they call it the age of information or the digital age, where the industrial-based economy gave its way to the economic based on information exchange. And the hallmark of that is that a piece of information can instantaneously changes or moves across the globe, as you all experience it. You send a message while you are sitting here, in a split of seconds, it gets to, for example, Tehran or Baghdad or Riyadh or different parts of the world. So they call this the age of information, which is, again, with the help of computers, we got to this age. What is the advantage of the age of information? This revolution in the information. What are those beautiful advantages that we have reaped? Again, number one is the easy access to information. Before, people used to take their time, travel, go long distances, sometimes months and sometimes years, in order to reach for a single piece of information. It is narrated in the biography of Al-Imam Muhammad al-Bukhari, the scholar of Islam who have written the book Sahih al-Bukhari. It is narrated that he would travel for 6 months to find a single hadith and to make sure that this hadith, according to him, is correct or not, authentic or not. 6 months in order to reach for one piece of information. That much people had to go through, troubles in order to find a single piece of information or knowledge. They have to estrange themselves away from their family, community, and sometimes throughout their travel, they get caught by dangers, by animals. Wild animals would attack them, bandits will take them, gangs will take them. So it was all full of dangers, troubles, headache. In fact, when you look at the words of the Prophet, peace be upon him, when he has said, اطلبوا العلم ولو بالصين, go catch knowledge even if it's in China, he's implying the difficulty of reaching knowledge. Meaning that if you really want to find knowledge, you have to travel. Because in the Arabian Peninsula, at the time, the advent of Islam, there were only 17 literate people. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, implying in his word that if you want to get the information, you have to be prepared for difficulty and headache. Nowadays, with a click of your fingers and digits, the entire information, the entire thing that you are looking for will be available to you within splits of second. This is how much things have changed and how much knowledge has revolutionized that it got to us right on our table. Sometimes you're reading in your bed and searching for anything you like and you get it right away. So this is the advantage of the age of information. Easy access to knowledge. It is also wealth generating. Today, almost everything, whatever crosses your mind, you can buy it, sell it, lease it, rent it, acquire it through your smartphone. Use your smartphone, the internet, and you will get that thing that you are looking for. Sell it or buy it. It is stated that Amazon sells in 1 minute, sells $83,000. The Chinese website Alibaba in 1 day sold $14.3 billion. This is how much people make money, the lucky ones, make money out of this internet, which is called the age of information. So again, it is money generating, wealth generating. In addition to that, it is abundance in information. Whatever you like, you will find. Whatever crosses in your mind, you will see. I remember when we were young, now that I'm getting very old, I remember at that time, we used to have 2 or 3 news channels that we would listen to and watch. Nowadays, there are hundreds of news channels, hundreds, thousands of news outlets that you have access to. Of course, that has created trouble and headache to the autocratic governments. Autocratic governments and dictatorships used to gate the information. They wouldn't allow you to access things that they are not happy about. They eliminate news channels. They boycott them. They sanction them. Now they have hard time doing that. In fact, Hosni Mubarak lost his position because of the social media, because of the Facebook. People would go into the streets, into the city arenas, demonstrate, challenge him. Eventually, his regime collapsed. One internet blogger in Saudi Arabia called Raif Badawi, for a blog writing, his own opinion, he was sentenced to 1,000 lashes and 7 years in a prison. Why? Because he has challenged the government and used the internet against the will of the government. The government could not stop him, therefore they punish him in this way. So you have abundance of information. Maybe one satellite network can give you more than thousands of channels. And many of them are specialized: sport channels, cartoon channels, religious channels, and so forth. So these are all abundance of information that we are so opportune to have that the previous generations were not even thinking of, didn't even cross their minds. Other benefits, the variety, different kinds. You don't like to listen to this, listen to something else. Go choose whatever you like. There is always alternative to the dominant view. Now there is no monopoly on a single view. You can share your view with anyone possible. Any person that you would like, you can send your messages. It is said, and here are some statistics I would like to share it with you. It says that there is 1.8 million likes for 1 minute. In 1 minute, there is 1.8 million likes in Facebook. You know how you go and like the Facebook? There are more than 250,000 photos shared in Instagram. There are 2 million searches on Google in 1 minute. In 1 minute, Google receives more than 2 million searches. There are 36 million emails per minute. So you see the variety, the abundance. That is called the age of information. This is how we exchange the information. That much of knowledge. Of course, it has its own drawback. It has its own negative impact. The trouble. The trouble is that these pieces of technologies are made by whom? Made by the Western countries. So it allows for their dominance, for their cultural dominance. They always dominate through, media, through propaganda. And history has proven that even if you're stronger in military, stronger in economy, but you have weaker propaganda, weak advertisement, you cannot get your message across to the audience, you lose the battle. You cannot continue. Therefore, you see that the Western hemisphere, the Western countries, pay so much attention to this potent weapon through their cultural dominance. For example, the talk shows that you see here in the US, they're all been reciprocated or mirrored back in the Middle East, for example. Anything that happens here, tomorrow you will see it in the Middle East. There are channels, satellite channels, 24/7. They just run Hollywood movies, Hollywood films, like the NBCs, NBC1, NBC2, NBC3. Alhamdulillah, you are here, you don't see the troubles back in the Middle East. Only the NBC channel has more than 25 different channels. What do they do with them? They all show Western movies, Hollywood movies. Until the Saudi king dies, then you will see Quran. Those 25 channels all become reciting Quran. For 10 days, people have their peace of mind. In the day 11, again, they go back to the same, Western songs and dances and movies. So this is considered to be cultural dominance. Anything that is made in the West, next day is exported to the East. So this is a huge cultural dominance. They have changed the culture. They have changed the lifestyle. They even changed the language of people. Go to southern, for example, America, South America. Those people, they had their own native languages. Now, when you go to South America, to Latin America, what do you hear? Either Spanish or Portuguese and English. Where did this come from? Through their dominance. They changed their culture, they changed their religion, they changed their language through this, information transmittance, sending these information and then dominating over those poor countries. Another big negative impact of the media, the press, this information age, is the sexualization and violent content. You all have experience. When you watch TV, what do you see? How much they have made artificial beauty of females, of ladies, just to come and make them objectified, use them as an object. For what reason? So their cash can increase. Taking advantage of women for the sake of their own profit. This is how, they sell their products. Now, this can cause trouble. So this can cause, first of all, psychological effects, psychological impact to the person. This could cause family disintegration, social disintegration, all due to the sexualization of the TV and network. That is one negative impact. The other one is the violence. Look at any video game that nowadays is in the market. It has to be some sort of violence, some sort of killing, some sort of assault. There are very famous games within teenagers, that go viral. For what reason? Because they always, symbolize or, magnify this video game through violence. It is estimated that an average American child is exposed to 8,000 scenes of murder per year. 8,000 scenes of murder. Divide this 8,000 scenes. Divide this number by 365 days. How many? How many? I want to test your math. 25? 25 times per day, an average American child is exposed to death scene, to killing scene, and 100,000 of assaults. What do you expect this person comes to be? Now, do we wonder why there is so much violence around us? Why so much killing? Well, because they brainwash the children from the very, very early age. That's one big impact of that. The other one, brothers and sisters, and I'm sure that all of us are culprit in this, is the addiction. We are all addicted to our smartphones. Wherever we go, this shaitan or this angel is with us. You go to the sleep, it is with you. You go to the bathroom, wal-'ayadu billah, it is with you. You go to everywhere, it is with you. I'm not joking. This is for fact. Family, when sitting together, 7, 8 members, they are all down to earth, looking at their smartphones. Their bodies are together, but their spirit, their mind, where? God knows. Maybe in East, maybe in West. This causes addiction. Anything that causes, well, of course, I don't want to minimize the advantages of this. This also gives big advantage. You can recite Quran with it, you can recite dua with it, you can learn with it. This is just like a knife. The knife will serve you when you use it in a good way. And then it can hurt you when it's used in a bad way. One problem is the addiction. Anything that makes you addicted to is considered to be bad. Now, there are statistics, there are studies say that unfortunately family connection, family physical interaction has been reduced due to the addiction of these smartphones, because we become so reliant on it. Actually, the minute we are away from them, we become nervous. It causes an anxiety to us. Why? Because the battery of my phone died. Now what I'm going to do, I don't know. I am in the middle of desert. God forbid something will happen to me. Well, what did you do 20 years ago? Nothing you were doing. Assume that you are back in 1990 or 1980. What used to happen to you? Nothing. So these kind of psychological effects that have their big impact on us. So this is the third part. This is the third factor that has a negative impact. The fourth one, which is more important, I would tell you after your big and loud salawat. Before that, let me tell you what is the topic of the day, of the night. My topic, I have prepared it about how Zaynab and ladies of Ashura counteracted or counterattacked the propaganda machine of Bani Umayah. So what I talked was just an introduction. From now on, we will go into the subject. The fourth negative impact that media and this information technology has is the source of disinformation. They distort the information. When you look at any news outlet or any news channel, they give you opinionated news. They don't give you raw news. They don't tell you this has killed this and khalas. They always making, some opinion to it, some twist to it. I will give you an example. A few months ago, I was listening to BBC, the Arabic BBC. It says that a group of unknown military people or militia, unknown armed group, killed a group of people that are known to be terrorists. Now, when you hear this, say, okay, some terrorists got killed. But look at the irony. The one who was armed, they call him unknown. They don't disclose their identity. But the one who was victim and was killed, they call them terrorist. So they made, in another way, if you don't pay attention very well, you see that they have fed into our brains that those who were killed deserve to be killed because they were terrorists. The one who were armed, with no reason, with no justification, killed those group of people, they are on the right track. You see how they twist knowledge? You see in the media, when you study media, they tell you they use magic bullets. This magic bullet is like the hunter when he aims at a duck, as a flying duck, and shoots it down, they call it magic bullet. This is how they make the piece of information that they want us to be fed. This is how they feed us with these information. They formulate it, they put it in a nice package, and then they sell it to our brain. They use this strategy of magic bullet that we take it without verification. We take it for a fact. This is how, human being is a rational thinker. Meaning that when he receives a piece of information, he analyzes it. He thinks about it. He said, is this right? Or maybe this is wrong. But the way that news media give us the information, they formulate it in a way that we take it for granted. That these are absolutely correct. That these have no deviation. We don't even expect 1% that this type of information could be false. You have seen it. You have experienced it. The Syrian war, for 6 years there were wars. Sometimes you see images that go viral on CNN, BBC, ABC, New York Times. It goes viral. Remember the kid that was bleeding, sitting in the ambulance 2 years ago maybe, or a year and a half ago, in Aleppo. Well, this image came to show the brutality of the regime. And I am here not to defend the regime, but I'm just telling you how they brainwash people. This image was symbolized as the brutality of the regime and who's behind it. But after the war subsided and people returned to Aleppo, the news channels went to the family of this boy. It turned to be that he's sitting in the area of the government held. And those who have hit him were the rebels, not the government. But how they twist the information and how they sell it, it is amazing. When we get it, we say, oh, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. What kind of a brutal regime is this regime? Again, I'm not defending the regime. But what I am saying is that how they twist reality. And then they feed the information without us really challenging them. They distort them. I give you another example, the vivid one. Daesh, ISIS that kept fighting for 4 years. Where did they come from? You see, to ISIS there are 3 components. One are the people, the fighters. It's said that there are people, fighters, up to 60, 70,000 fighters from 60 different countries has joined ISIS. Number one is the group of people. Second, the sophisticated weapons that they used. And those sophisticated weapon, either they were made in this country, or in Europe, or in Russia. Those are 3 places. And third things is the amount of cash that they had. Now, how did they get 70,000 fighters, on which means that they took and got to Syria and Iraq? How did that happen? Did they take camels? Are we living 200, 300 years ago that there are no borders, no checkpoints, no radars? How did they got to these places from 60 different countries? Then how did this sophisticated weapon got to their hands? How? Who has bought them? Who has sold them? Who took them? And how did it ended up in the hand of this fighter that, he used to carry out his terrorist attack? And third, the amount of cash, billions of dollars. And those were hard cash. It is not a loan, it's not a credit card that they would swipe and then they would get the weapons. It's a hard cash. Where did this hard cash? And they all have the $100 bills on it. Do we ever ask? What does the media do? They distort the entire thing. They make us completely ignorant. And instead of making us educated, they make us less educated. They make us completely hypnotized. Whatever they do, whatever they say, we take it for granted. When I say we, meaning the entire Western countries. You have 330 million people in this country, and so many million people in Europe. They never think that those 70,000 people who went to fight, they have been pushed to do this. But who has pushed them? Was it Santa Claus that sent them all these weapons? Who? Nobody talks about that. And this is called distortion of reality and fact. You see, Quran, pay attention to this fact. He says, because he knows how people twist the facts, distort the facts. Here is the ayah. It says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلَّذِينَ يَكْتُبُونَ الْكِتَابِ بِأَيْدِيهِمْ ثُمَّ يَقُولُونَ هَذَا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. Wail is the least, is the most dangerous, the most miserable part of Jahannam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 3 times mentions wail in this ayah. Listen to this. It says, فَوَيْلٌ لِلَّذِينَ يَكْتُبُونَ الْكِتَابَ بِأَيْدِيهِمْ ثُمَّ يَقُولُونَ هَذَا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ لِيَشْتَرُوا بِهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا فَوَيْلٌ لَهُمْ مِمَّا كَتَبَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَوَيْلٌ لَهُمْ مِمَّا يَكْسِبُونَ. 3 times, 3 warnings, and a promise for punishment for this kind of people who twist reality. Number 1, general. Wait. Then he said, for the fact that they distorted the fact. They changed the fact. And second, for selling it to people. You see how much stern, how big of a stern warning that the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to them. Why? Because this distortion of reality existed from the dawn of history, the dawn of the human history. So here is the big warning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them. In the opposite, in contrast, the Almighty talks about the duty of those who have to stand up to this kind of distortion. You see, we cannot be a passive recipient of these kind of messages. You have to stand up. You have to talk without, thinking of what is going to happen. You see, the Almighty says, الَّذِينَ يُبَلِّغُونَ رِسَالَاتِ اللَّهِ. You have a duty to get the message of Allah across, the true message. And here is any authentic message, it's Allah's message. It says, الَّذِينَ يُبَلِّغُونَ رِسَالَاتِ اللَّهِ وَيَخْشَوْنَهُ وَلَا يَخْشَوْنَ أَحَدًا مِّنَ النَّاسِ. Don't be worried if the Zionist lobby will go after you. If the IPAC go after you and tell you, oh, you've been against Israel and anti-Israel. Don't get worried. At least satisfy God's demand. Leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. الَّذِينَ يُبَلِّغُونَ رِسَالَاتِ اللَّهِ وَيَخْشَوْنَهُ وَلَا يَخْشَوْنَ أَحَدًا إِلَّا اللَّهِ وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ حَسِيبًا. Be careful. You stand up for justice, stand up for reality, for facts, for authenticity, and leave the rest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. God would make you victorious. This is the message. Now, the second part is about the propaganda of Bani Umayah and how Zaynab alayhi salam stood up in their face after your big and loud salawat. Bani Umayah started their propaganda machine right after the demise of the Prophet. Last night I alluded to the fact that they wanted even to destroy, to annihilate the name of the Prophet. But they could not. So their propaganda, the war of ideas, started right after the demise of the Prophet. Especially when Muawiyah came to power. Using the platform of a Friday sermon, Salat al-Jum'ah, and at the time, Masjid used to be like a convention center. Whatever you want to say, so the populace can hear about your ideas, you go to the Masjid. So the platform, excuse me, the Sallu ala Muhammadin wa So they used the platform of the masajid, Salat al-Jum'ah, to propagate for their own agenda. The khatib would not come down, the sermon giver would not come down from his sermon until he curses Ali ibn Abi Talib, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein. The salat would not be accepted if he doesn't do this. This is number one. And second, bankrolling a bunch of so-called Sahaba that they would write down and make fake hadith on behalf of the rivals of Amir al-Mu'mineen or against Amir al-Mu'mineen. And that started from very long time before. Now Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam knew for this fact that Bani Umayya will come and take control. They have military might, they have financial might, and they can, be in charge. And Bani Umayya, once Bani Umayya become in charge, Islam is destroyed. خلاص, no more Islam. So he planned for the Battle of Karbala. Ali ibn Abi Talib had this in his mind. How he would encounter Bani Umayah. How he would stand up in their face. Number one, he moved the capital from Hijaz to Kufa. Kufa by itself deserves one whole night to talk about it, inshallah, in the future. Kufa is a geopolitical place, very strategic, very important. Later on, it became the bedrock of the Islamic civilization. So many knowledgeable, so many scientists, so many scholars evolved from Kufa. Kufa could not be controlled. Why? Because it was a big metropolitan place. From different walks of life used to live in Kufa. You had Christians, you had Jews, you had Muslims, you had atheists. All kind of walks of life lived in Kufa. So it would be difficult for a tyranny, for someone like Muawiyah or Yazid could control Kufa. You know, in any free environment, in any democratic or free or liberal environment, you see that Shia school of thought, the opinion of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam flourishes. Why? Because it's true. It is the right message. So whenever we have the freedom, you see people gather around it. So Ali ibn Abi Talib chose Kufa first to build and make die-hard students and companions that they become later on the loyal soldiers of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, like Habib ibn Mudahir, Muslim ibn Awsaja, Abis ibn Shabib, and rest of people of Kufa who were taught at the hand of Ali ibn Abi Talib. So number one, he moved his Khilafah to Kufa. That's why you see that Hussein ibn Ali didn't stay in Medina, didn't stay in Mecca, where those used to be his own hometown, and people are more acquainted with him than Kufa. But he moved to Kufa for that reason, because it is difficult for Bani Umayyah to control. The second point that Ali ibn Abi Talib did, he thought of the battlefield itself. He wanted someone to deter the enemy, not to start their war at their own choosing. He knew that Imam Hussein would be martyred. Those who are with him would be martyred. But still he was looking for someone to be a deterrent to the opposite force. What did he do? All narrators said that he talked to his brother Aqil, told him, Aqil, اخطب لي امرأة ولدتها الفحولة من العرب. I need someone, a lady that brings me a courageous son. And that was who? Al-Abbas. He brought Abbas because Abbas was a strong psychological force in the army of Imam al-Hussein. You see, when everybody was martyred in the day of Ashura, and the only one who was left was Al-Abbas. When he went to Imam Hussein to ask for permission to go and fight, Imam Hussein told him, you are the torch bearer of my army. You are by yourself an army. If you go, my army will collapse. And he was only one person. That much power Al-Abbas alayhi salam did. So the Imam alayhi salam, 20 years, 30 years before, he was thinking of the battle of Karbala, to bring someone that keep the army of Ibn Ziyad at check. So that was the second thing. And the third thing, of course, upbringing Zaynab. Zaynab was a prototype of Fatima al-Zahra. Now, all narrators say that when Imam Hussein left Medina, going to Mecca, going to Karbala, Abdullah ibn Abbas and his brother Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah asked him, now you're going because you want to be killed. Then why you're taking the ladies with you? Why you're taking Zaynab and her sisters and your children, the wives? What was his answer? Sha Allah أن يراهن قتيلا. In another word, telling Ibn Abbas, if I want to explain to you, it takes years until you will realize why I am taking Zaynab with me. He said, Shah Allah, God wants to see them, they're captive. My question to you, Zaynab is the granddaughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. The Prophet is the most beloved person to Allah. Would God want to see Zaynab and the woman of Ahlul Bayt to be humiliated at the hand of Bani Umayya? What kind of vested interest God does have? You see, why would Ali ibn Abi Talib would make Zaynab to receive the cruelty of Bani Umayya? For what reason? Because he has an extra daughter? Or he doesn't like his daughter? For what reason? You see, when Zayn al-Abidin used to weep and cry, one day Abu Hamza al-Thimali told him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, ama ana li huznika an yanqadi? Isn't it enough that you've been crying and weeping? For how long? Al-qatlu lakum aada wa karamatukum min Allah al-shahada. You are accustomed to killing. What was the answer of Zayn al-Abidin? He said, أَوَسَبْيُ النِّسَاء لَنَا عَادَةً. That women get in captivity and become a prisoner of war is also we are accustomed to. So it was a heavy thing, something extremely difficult for Ali ibn Abi Talib and for Imam Hussein to do. But why they did it? Why they did it? They did it so we today sit down today and commemorate the memory of Imam Hussein. If it were not Zaynab, if it were not those orphans, if it were not those women, we didn't know who was Hussein. We would think that Hussein again was a bandit, a rebellious, that Amir al-Mu'mineen Yazid, rightly killed him and destroyed him. You see, in the battle of Ashura, the night before the day of Ashura, on the eve of Ashura, Ibn Ziyad army attacked the tent of the camp of Imam Hussein. What did Imam Hussein do? He called upon his brother Al-Abbas and told him, Binafsi, and go to them and tell them if they can give us, break only for tonight. لِيُمْهِلُونَ سَوَادَ هَذِهِ اللَّيْلِ. Until tomorrow. Why did he do that? The Imam says one reason. He says that I would love to do prayers, and inshallah on the eve of Ashura we will talk about this subject. But untold reason, the Imam wanted that the scene take place during the daylight, not during the night. You see, Musa alayhi salam, let me take you to Egypt. Musa alayhi salam, when those sorcerers and magicians came to duel him, to fight, to have their own, to showcase their own magic, what did he tell them? He told them, قَالَ مَوْعِدُكُمْ يَوْمُ الزِّينَةِ وَأَنْ يُحْشَرُ النَّاسُ ضُحًى. I want everybody to see it in the daylight, so you get exposed. Imam Hussein alayhi salam wanted the army of Ibn Ziyad to be exposed in the daylight, so everybody could witness, everybody could see that Ali al-Asghar, the 6-month-old baby, get butchered at the hand of Ibn Ziyad army. Otherwise, if they have attacked the camp during the night, they could have killed everybody and then would say, okay, Imam Hussein was killed by a car accident. Imam Hussein could killed by a venom. And nobody would know. Nobody would witness. So the Imam wanted to make this gruesome image of the atrocity of Bani Ziyad very well known and obvious to people. So people would ask, who are those captives? Why those captives are all women and children? Why there is no a single man with them? Why they're all women? What did they do? Who are those beheaded heads on the top of the spears? To whom they belong to? Who are they anyway? You see, that was the strategy of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam to expose Bani Umayya. Now Zaynab took over after 10th of Muharram. Now who was Zaynab? You see, Ali ibn Abi Talib, number one, didn't make her marry anyone except her cousin, Abdullah ibn Jafar. Many people came proposing for her hand, he rejected them. When Abdullah ibn Jafar came to marry her, he said, I will make her your wife under one condition, and that is she stays in my home. And after me, she stays with her brothers, Hassan and Hussein. You see, usually ladies go after their husbands. Wherever their husbands go, they have to follow him. And this is how it is. But Imam Ali alayhi salam made it mandatory for Abdullah ibn Ja'far to accept that Zaynab stays in the household of Ali ibn Abi Talib. For what reason? To prepare her for Ashura. To make her stay in the academy of Ali ibn Abi Talib and learn every single day, to learn a new thing. That was the preparation of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Therefore, when you see in the Battle of Karbala, one of the commanders was Zaynab. Of course, Zaynab wouldn't come to the forefront, to the scenes, but always behind the scenes she was checking. She would go and tell her brother, Ya Aba Abdullah, have you checked your army? Have you checked your soldiers? Are you sure about their intention? When Habib ibn Mudahir came, the first things that she did, she sent salam to Habib. Habib was sitting with a group of people. A little boy came and said, who's Habib? Habib said, I am Habib, my master. Tell me, I am your servant. She said, Ammati Zaynab tuqri'uka as-salam. Zaynab is sending her salam to you. He said, Zaynab is sending salam. What she would like to have? He said, she says, Ya Habib, la tuqassir fi nusratana. Defend us. You see, she was an axis under which or around which the family of Imam Hussein were revolving around. She would take, care of her nephew. She would take care of her brother. In the battle of Ashura, on the day of Ashura, she noticed that Hussein is weeping and crying. She told him, you are the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib. For what reason you're crying? He said, Wallahi, ya Zaynab, I'm not crying for myself. I am crying for this army. For my cause, they are going to Jahannam. She would go take, care of the sick of Zainul Abidin. Everyone from Bani Hashim, any soldier from Bani Hashim would go to the battle. The last one that would say farewell to him was Zaynab. Zaynab would hug Ali al-Akbar, would hug al-Qasim, Abdullah ibn al-Hasan, and then send them to the battle. Now, when they would collapse, when they bring them, she was the first one to receive them, to take care of them, to bring them to the tent, except when her children, Muhammad and Aoun, fell on the ground. She didn't go out. She stayed inside the camp. Why? Because she was so embarrassed in the front of Hussein to come and ask about her children. On the 11th of Muharram, Zaynul Abidin was dying from anger, from sadness, from grief. He said that I was about to collapse, but my aunt Zaynab came and looked at me and told me, Mali araka tajudu binafsika ya baqiyata jaddi wa abi wa ikhwati. Why do I see you in such kind of a state? I told her, Amma, I am seeing my father, my brothers, my cousins, my uncle. They are all decapitated on the ground of Karbala. Nobody buries them. We're leaving them at the sweltering heat of the sun. Why shouldn't I be upset and saddened? She tells him, don't worry, my son. There are people, God would send that they would bury these bodies. They make a tomb on these bodies. And then she says this. She says, وَلَا يَجْتَهِدَنَّ أَئِمَّةَ الْكُفْرِ وَأَتْبَاعَ الضَّلَالَةِ فِي مَحْوِهِ وَطَمْسِهِ فَلَا يَزْدَادُ أَثَرُهُ إِلَّا ظُهُورًا وَأَمْرُهُ إِلَّا عُلُوًّا. They could not destroy the name of Hussein. This is how she would give solace to Zayn al-Abidin and in the courtyard of Yazid. It was a cannonball on the head of Yazid. Yazid is the tyrant. Yazid is the king. But in the courtyard of Yazid, when Zaynab was, she was the queen and he was the captive. What did she tell him? Told him, فَكِتْ كَيْدَكْ وَاسْعَ سَعْيَكْ وَنَاصِبْ جَهْدَكْ فَوَاللَّهِ لَا تَمْحُو ذِكْرَنَا وَلَا تُمِيتُ وَحْيَنَا وَمَا جَمْعُكَ إِلَّا بَدَدْ وَأَيَّامُكَ إِلَّا عَدَدْ وَرَأْيُكَ إِلَّا فَنَدْ يَوْمَ يُنَادِي الْمُنَادِي أَلَا لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَى الظَّالِمِينَ. Like a cannon fire with a cannonball on the head of Yazid. Yazid could not see any way that this lioness would be stopped. She wouldn't stop. What did he do? He made her stop. He made her be quiet and speechless when he revealed the head of her brother. He grabbed the whip and started to whip the head, the face and lips of her brother Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. At that time, Zaynab came to halt. She looked at him and told him, Yazid, if my Abbas was alive, you wouldn't dare to do this to my brother Hussein. It is because I am lonely. It is because Abbas is lying on the river bank. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك وأناخت برحلك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته.